For anyone who doesn't know, this is the AnimSchool animation showcase for 2020. So let's take a look at this.
Maybe it's time to consider stopping.
Now is exactly the time not to stop, because you see, I'm not getting any better!
Some things just can't be fixed. This isn't the end. There are other things that can give your life meaning.
Like what? Like you?
That head turn there. Oh, that like you, the sharpness there. Oh, that felt good.
Well, next time I see you, I'll kiss you. Is that what you're asking me? I mean,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you should try.
I should just go out there and kiss you. Yeah. Okay.
Great brows.
Yeah.
Go on.
Kissing shots are some of the hardest to animate in terms of physicality between characters.
Is enough to turn one into a living god. All I have to do now is kill you and take back what is rightfully mine.
That arm up.
What the hell are we gonna do now? I'm totally screwed. I don't have time to be walking through the woods right now.
That was a relatable one.
Happy. They were just so disgustingly happy. It's a lot to live up to. I think it kind of messed me up.
The subtlety in the hand pose.
Still, it's a shame. Good soldiers dying for nothing. All because they couldn't see the future. Sad. Oh, help, still alive.
They destroyed your life. How much time before we take revenge?
But they're my friends.
I'm your only friend.
No.
No!
You're going to have to take it slowly with this one. He doesn't speak yet, and he's a little skittish around humans. But then again, I guess I would be too if I had been raised by wild mastodons.
Oh, Robert. Benson.
These are so good.
I feel the power of evil coursing through my veins, filling every corner of my being with the desire to do wrong. I feel so bad, Betsy.
Kendra, this is a motorcycle. Its sole reason for being is to go fast, very fast, not for you to use.
It's so nice to see characters interacting or moving through an environment in a unique way like that.
Last week, Pope was on TV. I recorded it on my videotape machine. Now, anytime I want to watch the Pope, anytime at all, day or night, middle of the night,
nice.
Bang! Pope on TV.
That perspective in that shot was so nice.
Gosh, she's the worst. Hey, you know what? The Queen is really proud of her feet.
Nice Gallivant audio.
Oh, the kiss her feet. That's an order from your king.
Oh, maybe she was being protected.
She was horrible. She was being protective. She was great. She was just trying to raise me right.
The squishiness in the face there is so good.
Should win an award.
And that little eyelid flutter right in there. Oh, nice. This is a good perspective. Oh.
What? Just a few droplets like that. Served, and each blue blood will die as they spew blood. A happy ending for us.
Nice. Another Galvanic clip. That's.
Ow!
What is the matter with you?
I love musical.
So much.
You could consider calling first.
Okay,
animations.
Look, Polly.
No, I can't do this, Larry.
Okay.
I'm serious. It's just stupid.
You can't leave. Can we talk about it?
You're never gonna change, you know.
I am gonna change. I am.
People are constantly asking me, like, how do you come up with so many hilarious ideas? And that's like asking Steph Curry, well, how do you do so many slam dunks? You know, coming up with funny ideas is what I do.
Out of faces and friendly faces, and still I had to be free. I've been to paradise, but I'll never.
That's so good.
I have laid eggs inside of your brain. Get them out of my head. You are no longer in control of me. I control you.
I love how every shot of that that lizard, he's just such a crazy character.
Don't use that tone to me. That sarcastic, contemptuous tone that means you know everything because you're a man and I know nothing because I'm a woman.
You're not a woman. No, it's too hard. Do you have anything softer? Of course. Can I try it?
Nice.
Sure.
That's a good one. That was so good. That is a strong reel there. That was amazing. There's so many good interaction ones. That's the one thing that I love to see is interaction between characters. Like right here.
Of course.
Let's see. Just this smush in here is just so good. And how it just creates a strong line right between the two. And you just get that straight connection between the eyes. And they're really pushing the 2D element right here. Like look at the way they shape the mouth there. They're making sure that they don't show the back cheek. So they get this really clear just clean mouth silhouette. Even the teeth. There's a little bit of overlap between the back teeth and back teeth in terms of camera. And the teeth closer to the camera, but they line it up so that you don't get this weird pattern. You just get this nice clean look. So for example here, we should see the other canine, the other bottom fang, but we don't. It's just the one. It's keeping it very nice and clean. I love the timing on the eye dart here. They both just go down at the exact same time. Like this, normally this would not work. For a more realistic shot, that would be a little too direct. It would kind of make this scene feel robotic. But because they're so close together, because it's so cartoony, it brings everything down together, and it's just so fantastic. Like that little ease in the eye right there. Now, eye darts are very fast, usually 1 or 2 frames. But the way they're making fleshiness right here is if you look at the eye dart, it goes down 1 frame, down 2 frames, and then the eye stops. I'm kind of looking at the guy's eye here. The dog is the same, but as his eye hits and stops, afterwards the brow keeps coming down. This is what creates that fleshiness to it. The students are usually people who take one class to polish their skills, not people who took the full class. So it's kind of cheating. Yes. So this is the one thing with and I'm not gonna put any what's the right word? I don't want to speculate on the skill levels here, but a lot of shots, sometimes when you see them as a student, it can be demoralizing to see this. It's amazing, but as a student you go, oh man, look at this shot. These people did this amazing shot and they graduated the class, or they were in, let's say, class 4 or 5. I'm in class 4 or 5. Why don't I animate that well? Why am I not on the same level as these people? You have to keep in mind that lots of these people have previous experience and they're there to polish their skills. Not all of them. Some of them are really talented and this might be where they're at as they're learning the program. But it's important thing to keep in mind, and it's an easy thing to forget. And what it means as a student is, don't compare yourself. Don't go, man, I should just quit because look at how good they are. No, do not do that. You will get to this point. You have your own path. They have their own path. They've already been on their path for a while, potentially. And even if they started at the same time as you did at the school, keep in mind that the path before that might be different. So, for example, I know this is a tangent. I'm going to come back to the eyes here in just a second, but this is a very important point. Is everyone had a path before that. So, for example, Cameron and I were a good example of this when we went through. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Cameron is my twin brother. That's why it's called the Pratt Bros. He does stream when his schedule allows, which has not been recently, which sucks. But we both went through Animation Mentor together. We took the classes, we started out together. And we both were twins. We've done the same thing. We both started animation on the same day. But he had a 2D background. I had a 3D background. So he would draw. He would do digital art. I would do 3D modeling, sculpting, things like that. When we got to start learning CG, we both had a different skill set that made certain things way easier for us. We were still learning animation together, day one, first day of animation for both of us. We had not animated before that. But when it came to drawing or creating planning or creating these dynamic shots that were just like nice perspective, nice cinematography, Cameron outpaced me right out the gate. He was just better at it because he could draw it like 2 seconds, draw it out and go, okay, I want to see this. Okay, I want this angle. Okay, this perspective. Okay, done. Then let's put that into Maya. Or when he would do like a hand pose and he'd try to pose that on Maya, it's like, oh, it's not working. He'd do a draw over on it, go, okay, I want this. And then he'd make it into the nice drawing and it's like, there, done. Leaps and bounds ahead of me. We started on the same day. Now, vice versa, I had Maya experience. Cameron didn't open Maya until the very first day of class, and I realized I should just be playing some music here because it's absolutely quiet and silent. But we both started together, but he had never opened Maya until the very first day of class, which means that the first few weeks was, how do I move the camera? What button is it to switch viewports? Where the heck is this tool? How do I turn on the move tool? And those first few weeks were extremely frustrating because he was used to Photoshop and all these other drawing tools. He wasn't used to 3D space. He wasn't used to working in a 3D environment. So there were many times when he would forget fundamentals of posing in 3D, where you have to turn the camera around. He was used to looking at a 2D plane. It took him a while to learn that. For me, I had been working in modeling and stuff for a long time. I knew the Maya interface. I knew all the tools, most of the tools, at least for the animation side. Those were a little new to me. So how do I turn on the PC? Our dad had that when he first got his first PC back then. He had to call into the service desk to find out, how do I turn on the computer? Where's the button? To be fair to him, it was one of those buttons that was like flush to the machine and you couldn't really see it. But yeah, that is a thing as well. And then he had a friend who, you know, that cliche of, oh, I wonder what this thing is. You push the button and this tray comes out. Oh, a drink holder, a cup holder. Awesome. Boop. Not realizing it's the CD tray. He had a friend that did that a few times. So kind of going back to the Maya stuff, when I started out, I knew Maya in and out. If I needed to do constraints, I knew how to do them, at least for the most part. When it comes to animation, there's things that you have to do differently, but I knew how to do it. If we had taken that, like, if we had just looked at ourselves and gone, why should I even bother? Look at how far ahead he is. We're still starting together. at the same time, other than the previous learning, we're exactly the same. We're twins. And yet there's this disconnect between us. Is that bad? No, not at all. We had our own path to this point. We were better at certain things than others. It's the same thing here. These people have had their path to this point. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. Not at all. It's just a separate road to this. So do not let this discourage you. If anything, learn from it. Do exactly what I'm going to be doing here. Just study, like, why does this work so well? What did they do to make this feel so good? Take that, put it into your knowledge banks, and try to apply it to your next shot in some way. Not copying, but applying it. Someone can make a shot based on the cup holder idea. Exactly. When I came from 2D and had to learn Maya, oh man, what a disaster. It was like going from riding a bike to flying a helicopter. Yes, it's so different. You suddenly have to think of a third dimension, which in 2D you never have to think about before you draw it out. So you're thinking about it in that sense, but you're not having to move around it. It changes your whole idea. As a twin myself, and my twin does the same as me, I can say this is true as well. Yeah, exactly. So so many twins, yes, more twins, twin power. Yeah, I know that was kind of a tangent, but it is an important one, because every term that I teach, I always see students starting to get demoralized, starting to get depressed that they aren't where they think they should be. And that's a totally okay feeling. It's okay to feel sad that you're not as good as you would like to be. That's fine. I don't want to say, oh, you don't feel that. You should just be a stone cold, no feelings. No, feel it. Let it, it is kind of one of those things where we want to be better. We always want to be better. But once you kind of feel that, be sure to realize that you will get there as long as you keep practicing, as long as you keep learning and consciously learning. Not just doing the same thing over and over and over and hoping you improve, but thinking, why am I doing this? What can I do to be better? What am I doing wrong? How can I fix the things I'm doing wrong? So it's very important that you go through those things, and you'll come out stronger on the other side. There's so much to learn to animate at least decently. Exactly. You'll never be a master animator of everything, but that's, to me, what's really fun about animation is that there's always something to learn and something to keep improving on. I'm never going to reach a point where I'm a master of everything. And honestly, I like that, because it means that I've always got something to look forward to, something to try and challenge myself with. And can I ask you about the Maya issue? You mean the student license thing? Definitely, if you have a question on that. I'm not super knowledgeable on all the details, but if you have questions, definitely let me know. Let's see. Or is it a Maya issue? Let's see. So, okay. So, I have log RX. So let me share the screen here, and then we'll go back to the analysis. So your RX is locked. Oh, what was that symbol? Let's see. I always forget what that symbol is. I don't see it that often. Let's see. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. My mouse just kind of moved a little too far to the side there. It was a short stream. We were right to the credits. Yeah, thanks for watching. That was it. Bye. 10-minute stream. That's all we need. Let's see. So locked channels. So let me open the link here. So this is locked channels. On how to use new animation features. So let me make that a little bigger so we can see. So a locked channel, but you should be able to unlock it. Let me ask you this. The RX isn't hidden. I can see it right there. Is this rig referenced in to your scene? Although this is a default Stuart. Or Stella. Stella shot ready. Let me ask you this. Do you have this shot in Artella Drive? On the AM site? If so, can you upload it and I can open it up directly and see what the issue is. I can check it out. So the thing I'm wondering, okay, cool. So once you have it uploaded, if you could whisper the link to me on Twitch, there should be a whisper button somewhere. I forget exactly where. This way I can just open directly to the directory. And we can get this solved for you. Okay, so as you're doing this, let's kind of finish the analysis here. We'll jump into fixing that shot and then we'll do some more analysis because, hey, why not? Oh, Savala, you know the solution? Let's see. Base animation is locked. Let me see. Where's the image? Oh, the animation layer? There's no animation layers. Yeah, one thing you could double check is go under here under anim and see if there's any animation layers in there. See if that's locked. I just did that to mine. Okay. That's how we learn, honestly, is when it happens to our shots, it's like, what the heck do I do? So basically, the thing that's going to be happening here is something is locking this, whether it's in the reference or something in the shot is being locked. Now, usually you should be able to right click on this and unlock it, but it's not showing up as locked here. Okay, let me open this up. And while I'm opening this up, double check the animation layers, see if there's anything in there. So, get this downloading right away. Getting hiccups. And Mr. Leaf, hey, my pleasure. I saw your post in the Discord. I haven't been able to jump into the Discord nearly as much as I should be, but it looked really good. I like the changes you did, especially with the spider kind of going after him afterwards. So let's quickly go over this here. Get this solved right away. Okay, browse for the Stella rig. And browse for Stewie. Ooh, you're using Stewie. Nope, wrong one. Browse for... I just picked the wrong file. That's going to be interesting to see how that loads in. Okay. Yes, it's amazing. The first time splining, it's weird to see how things slow down. Yes, things slow down immensely in splines. it can be extremely annoying to see just how slow things get when you're animating, and then suddenly you go into splines and it's like, what the heck? Okay, yeah, so no animation layers. Take this. Oops. Okay, so let's hunt this down here. It's not locked, because if it was locked we would get, yeah, that would be locked in the reference if that was the case. Curves. There you go. So you just go to curves, unlock channel, and so it's probably you accidentally hit the H key while you were working, which is very common. The H is easy to hit. So if you go whoop H, that locks the channel, and then you can't edit the keys. If you hit J, that'll unlock it, or just go to curves, unlock there. So simple fix, luckily. But this is the thing with Maya, or with any learning. This is like I was talking about before, how when Cameron was starting, he didn't know Maya. Things like this, when you don't know Maya, this kills your entire production. Like, you're working, everything's working fine. You hit one key that you don't realize what it's gonna do, and it could just be accident. Maybe you, like for me, sometimes I'll try to type something and I don't realize I'm in the Maya window, and I just hit so many hotkeys, and then you have to hope that none of them exploded the shot. But when you don't know, that roadblock suddenly stops you so much. So this is where it's important. Like, it's important regardless of your background, whether you are good with Maya, whether you're good with art, whether you're just completely new altogether, to have a community of people to help, because you never know who else might have encountered that and can solve it a lot more quickly. This is what will make your learning experience much faster, and this goes for anyone who's like starting their animation journey. Doing what Radha did here. Ask for help. You could spend more and more hours just trying to solve this on your own, or you can find someone to ask for help with, and that's where things like Animation Mentor or like these online schools, AnimSchool, they excel at, is that they give you that place to ask for help as long as you take advantage of it. Or like places like this. Let's see. Yesterday I pressed something that made the perspective camera rotate individually instead of around an object, and I had no idea how to even begin looking up what I did wrong. Yeah, so that was just changing the pivot point. Normally what you can do to do that is hit the F key. So if ever you somehow make it so that the camera doesn't move around an object and is just kind of rotating on its own and doing its own weird thing, just select the object you want it to follow and hit F on the keyboard, and now it'll rotate around that object. Or if I want it to rotate around the head, hit F. Now it rotates around the head. So it's changing the focus of the object. This can make it very easy. For example, if you are kind of moving around here, it's like, oh wait, I want to just curve around the, oh man, I want to spin around the body. I don't want to like move and okay, wait, no. It gets so frustrating doing this. But if I know, okay, I want to look at the foot, select the foot control, hit F, spin around the foot. Okay, let's look at the elbow here. Whoop. There we go, right around the elbow. It was odd because I did press F, but even after focusing on the object, it made a free cam. Oh, yes. Yeah, so if that ever happens, you can try to either reset Maya's preferences or try to create a new camera in your scene. So just go to create cameras and see if it happens to that. There is a solution to that. I forget which attribute. There's so many attributes in the camera. It's one of these ones that it'll change the rotational center of the camera. I think it's not frustum. There's something in here. I always forget until it happens to me and I have to look it up and try to solve it again. Let's see. Is there any free software that I can draw on my Play Blast except Flipbook? Not downloadable software, but Sync Sketch is free and really good. So I would check out Sync Sketch. SyncSketch.com. Now, Keyframe Pro, that's another good one. This is the one I use for doing my drawovers on videos and stuff. It's the drawover version is not free. It's about I believe for that one I think it's the 35. No, I think it's only the $70 version that has it. But Sync Sketch is really good, and then you can do a lot of drawovers and whatnot. So that can help. Let's see. I got a question. How much time were you spending on animation when you were a student? That is a very good question, because the more time you spend, the better you get. No, I guess it's just a matter of practice. When I started AM, I was able to dedicate a lot of time to AM. I was able to dedicate 100%. I love this show. 100% of my time to AM. So I was spending pretty much every waking hour going to Q&As, doing extra work, looking at student work, leaving comments, studying, reading books, all of that stuff. So I don't know how many hours I would have been spending. Probably close to 100+ hours. Now, a lot of it wasn't animating. Like, this is reading books, watching lectures, that kind of stuff. The actual animation part was a small portion of it in the grand total. So that's like an extreme. Now, when I started in class 3, I was actually hired full-time by AM to do some side work. Both Cameron and I were hired by AM when we were in class 3. So that meant that we suddenly, we couldn't dedicate all this extra time. But what we did try to do was at least 30 to 40 hours a week. Again, this counts watching lectures, reading materials, giving comments. It's all of that stuff is part of the learning experience. So the animation side, typically when we were working full time, we would only ever have time to start animating typically on Friday, Saturday, Thursday if we were lucky. So, and welcome to Trixo. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you so much. Hello. So when we were in school, we would dedicate the whole weekend to the animation side of things. Basically from Friday to Saturday or to Sunday, the deadline, we would be animating all day. So 20 to 30 hours just on the weekend, Friday to Sunday. But that doesn't mean that we didn't do stuff before the deadline. So that was attending Q&As. We would attend every extra Q&A we could possibly fit into our schedule, even if we had to get up at 4 a.m. to do it. Then we'd go right back to bed and collapse. But we would try to attend as much as we could. We would make sure to leave a certain amount of comments on people's work every single week. To be fair, we ended up posting way more than we needed to. So, for example, in Animation Mentor, they typically suggest posting about 5 comments a week. It's post 5. And this is something I recommend anyone do. Just if you're learning animation, try to post comments on people, on stuff. Be sure it's in a comment-friendly place. So, for example, if someone posts their animation on Twitter, they're not looking for comments and feedback. They're looking for, like, hey, look at the cool thing I did. And everyone's going, yeah, that's awesome. Adrian, thank you so much for the follow. So you want to look for creative forums like 11-Second Club, things like that. That's where people are actually looking for feedback on how to improve. So you leave feedback. You help people understand oh, like I had this problem, this is how I fixed it, and that'll help you learn. If you're an animation mentor or any online school, you have the whole community to give feedback to. Yeah, so animation discourse, exactly. Those are great as well. So in total, like most people posted about, if they were dedicated to the post 5, they would post about 60 comments a term. Cameron and I think our average comments per term was 1,500. I think, I'm trying to think the highest amount of comments we did one term. I think it was close to, what, I think we might have passed 2,000. I forget. We would spend a lot of time just commenting. Typically on Monday, we would spend, that's individually. So we would both do that many comments. We would spend Monday. Monday was a day that we would take off from our animation. We finished the deadline on Sunday. Whew, gone, done. On Monday, we would go through the school and just try to comment on as many people as we could. And just spend the day learning how to comment on people. Now, to be fair, the other thing that we were doing is that we were writing tips and tricks of things that we had learned and sharing it with students from lower classes to kind of help them hopefully avoid the pitfalls that we fell into. So that was part of that commenting as well. But like on average, we were spending that much time trying to help the community in some way. That was one of the biggest things that helped us in our entire careers. Just doing that. Being a helpful part of the community. So in total, I would say we were spending close to, at minimum, about 30 to 40 hours a week. Now, you don't have to spend that much time, especially if you've got a full-time job and family and kids and all of that. But just be aware that to properly understand these, it takes time, it takes practice. And if you're just spending 10 hours a week doing this, it's not going to be quite enough to really understand these things. Is that what helped AM notice you? Yeah, that it was a few different things. It was the fact that we were in every single Q&A, public Q&A in the school. So when they needed someone to help run the Q&As, they went, "Hey, you're in here anyway. You want to help out?" I went, "Sure, we'll help." Then they saw us posting everywhere and went, "Hey, you want to kind of help students with like tech support stuff?" And we went, "Sure, yeah, we'll help." And then the other one was we were very good at breaking the website. Back then, this was way back when. We found ways of, I wouldn't say, well, we broke the website a few times by accident, but then we found ways of improving certain things just through like the code on the website. And they asked us to help test out new systems. Because hey, we were good at breaking it in the first place, so let's see if we can break the new stuff. And it was all just kind of these random things that kind of got us these random jobs. At first it was just kind of volunteering to help out, and then it evolved into a full-time job, which is very strange. Let's see, I mean, if you do 10 hours per week for 5 years, yeah, so if you do 10 hours a week, you will get there eventually. It'll just be a longer road, and it'll be much harder. And the reason it's harder, this is going into a whole other topic, is imagine you're trying to learn to draw. Part of learning to draw is learning to build muscle memory. So you're learning how to move your arm, how to create a circle, how to create straight lines. And I'm not good at this. I don't draw nearly enough, and every time I draw, I kind of have to rework those muscles to start getting into like, okay, how do I draw a circle? Yeah, you can see they're not great. Eventually I'll get into it, but it takes time to get back to that that moment. And the longer you take between drawing, the harder it is to keep that consistent. You need to build that muscle memory, which means drawing consistently and often, usually every day. Now, this doesn't mean you have to do a finished piece of art every day, but usually doing a little something, just a kind of practicing your anatomy, practicing your gesture drawing, practicing your perspective, your why can't I think of the word? Proportions, that's the term I'm looking for. Doing your proportions, doing some sort of practice in some way, even if it's just a doodle that you, not just kind of doodling and whatever, but drawing in a way that you are thinking through the pose. You need to do that every day to build that consistency, build that ability up to a professional level, I guess you could say. If you're just doing it for the fun, then you don't have to do that. That's not the point. But if this is for a professional level, you kind of have to push yourself. Animation is the same way. It's an art form. You need to be practicing and continually increasing and kind of immersing yourself in there as much as you can. If you're just doing like 1 day a week where you're learning animation, and okay, I'm done, I'll wait until next week, Saturday, okay, start learning again. That span of time, you start to lose those connections that you were making, and it makes it harder and harder to learn, to the point where you might not even be able to learn. It's like working out. If you're only working out, you want to be a bodybuilder. You're eating healthy, you're doing all of that stuff, but you only exercise 1 day a week, but it's a big workout. The big workout won't matter, because what helps more is the smaller workouts throughout the week to keep the muscles burning and keep the muscles growing. If you just do one big day, it's not going to be the same as many little days. The consistency of it. So when you're learning anything, it doesn't mean that you have to just burn yourself out and go non-stop without a break. Just keep going, don't stop. Take a day or two off at times, but get back into it. And it doesn't mean that you have to be animating, but that you are immersing yourself in some sort of like thought process on it. That's going to help you learn much faster. It kind of applies to anything. So hopefully that kind of makes sense, and hopefully answered your question. Now let's see. I know I missed a whole bunch of questions earlier. If I'm scrolling up right here, but if I did miss anything, feel free to repost the questions. I'm trying to find it here, but I can't find it. Yes, I do need to take a sip of water. So definitely, if people have more questions, definitely feel free to ask, or if I missed anything. It has been an hour. I'm surprised. That was a quick hour. But I do want to finish this. We were doing this analysis on the eyes here. I don't want to leave it half finished. How long will this stream be? I'm not sure. I'm running on 5 hours of sleep. Well, technically 1 hour of sleep today. Half an hour of sleep, actually. And then 4 hours of sleep from the day before. So it's going to be a short stream. As you can see, my eyes are barely open. Even if I try, they want to go back down. Exactly, it's just a long blink. It doesn't count. So we were talking about the eyes here, how they move together, which in itself is kind of a mechanical, and it wouldn't feel natural. But in this case, because you are connecting the characters so closely, and because it's such a cartoony shot, those eyes linked together adds to this moment and kind of connects their thought processes together in a really cool way. Now we were talking about how the eyes move very quickly, but to make that feel fleshier and not just kind of and lock, they added a little bit of motion right here on the brow. You can see there's just a little lowering right there. Now as they go through, the eyes move up again, and look at this nice connectivity into the face. As the eyes come up, the brows, you can feel that coming up there. Same thing with him. It's just a little bit. The eyes are definitely leading this action, but you feel that connection in the brow. It creates a connection in the whole eye mask. So for anyone who doesn't know, the eye mask is a kind of a way of thinking about the face, where I'm just going to draw this simply here. Let's say you've got your eyes here, and you've got, let's say, I need to learn how to draw faces properly. So you've got your eyes and your brows, all of that. The eye mask is this region. Imagine a superhero or someone wearing a sleeping mask. That's the eye mask right here. All of that is connected in some way. So when we move our eyes, when we move our brows, it affects everything in that region in a little way. Now we can exaggerate or push it to be more or less connected, but if we connect them together, yeah, it's like goggles. If we connect that together a little bit, we get this really fleshy feeling to the whole area of the face. Now the other thing I really like is as his eyes look up, it's almost like his mouth corners dragging up as well. You just get a little extra motion there. And as they do this really cool thing here where we're looking at the eyes. We're looking right there in the character's looking right into the character's eyes. This is our focus right up there. But then we need to look at the bucket of chicken that he's going to be moving off to the side. And what we get is this. See how that finger's moving right there? The fingers are starting to move. He's pulling his hand out. That brings our attention back to the bucket. And then we get the hand moving first before he kind of pulls away. And I love how, even though he's moving, the face is just glued to this dog. It's like there's this contest of wills. He's not pulling away. He's just moving the chicken away. And then this. That's so good. That little paw drag. So good. I love that shot. There's so many good things about it. And then this one, I wanted to...
Inside of your brain! Get them out of my head.
The cinematography in this one is so good.
Of me. I control you!
So, let's talk about the cinematography of this one for just a second. What I really love about this is the build-up and then the pulling of the rug from the audience. So what I mean by that is they're building up this expectation. They're building up this really big conflict between the characters. And the way they do this is with the screen space of the shot. So let me actually... Epic pen, that's what I want. So I can draw on the screen here. Because I do want to mark some things down. So for anyone who doesn't know, if you have a PC, Epic Pen is a free piece of software that allows you to just draw on the screen. It's really nice. So, let's see. So as he comes, or as the scene starts, right here, you have the character on, in terms of cinematography, characters tend to have their own screen space. In this case, the lizard is on the left side. The other guy you'll see is on the right side. They also have a height to them, which means that when you set a character's height, it determines how they feel, how they kind of feel in comparison to each other, whether one's more powerful or weaker than the other. It kind of gives a power stance to them. So you have the lizard starting here, and then he starts to build up right here, and he gets higher on screen. That makes him feel more intimidating. It's kind of like he's looking down at the person versus looking up at the person. And he is moving into screen right, which is the other person's side of the screen. So if we kind of split the screen down the middle, you can see how they are starting to push into the screen right. This makes them feel aggressive and feels like they are attacking in a sense. Now we go back to here and look at how high he is. He's actually not that low on screen. He's on his side over here, quite high. And instead of backing away, instead of going, whoa, like, get them out, like, pulling back, he's confrontational. He's not afraid of this little guy. So he leans forward. This makes him feel confrontational as well. He doesn't quite go into the lizard space onto the screen left side, but he's leaning forward. This creates that feeling confrontation on the character, and you see that kind of push again there.
You are no longer in control of me.
The lizard loses power here. This is it, you see this kind of this panic, and what makes that feel even more like he's panicking and kind of losing control of the situation is that he backs away and becomes even smaller. He shrinks back down here, making himself smaller. Even though he's still angry, he's not losing and kind of being meek. He's angry, but he's losing this power battle between the two. He's lower now than the other person. And as it goes through, so you lose that, like, you don't control me. And now he comes back stronger, the tallest he's been since the beginning. And now, if we look before this point, the thing that was crossing to the other side was the needle, not him. The needle was the thing crossing onto the other side. You can say his nose was a little bit, but it's really the needle. Here, again, the needle is on the other side, not him.
You are no longer in control of me.
He panics a little bit, steals himself, and now he is in the other side. He has taken full control now. He's on the other side. He's taller than any other point so far. It fills the screen. This makes this very powerful. It created a little bit of a variation in the moment where we went, oh, is he going to back off? No. Ooh, he's actually going full on into this. And then what makes it even better
I control you.
Is this. Suddenly, all of that build-up thrown out the window. Nope, not there anymore. You've got both characters just on their own sides of the screen, way away from each other, not even close, way away on their own sides. And he's so tiny on screen. He doesn't even come up to the guy's head, which totally deflates all of his grandiose power. And that is brilliant. That is a wonderful use of cinematography to tell a story and then to tell a joke without making it a what's the right word I'm looking for? A obvious pun or like, ooh, and he slips on a banana peel and oops, now he's on the ground. Haha. No, it's still a tense scene. They haven't lost the fact that this little lizard is trying to harm this other guy, but just in the cinematography, they've made it into a joke. So very, very good cinematography on this shot. And Cyril, thanks so much for the follow. Now, there was a question here. How do you get it to look as though the paw isn't a polygon either floating or merged into the arm? It would be blend shapes or bend bows. So, for example, when the arm is, or the dog's...
Can I try it?
Oh. See? There we go.
Sure.
So, let's see here. How would they have done this? Honestly, I don't even think they're using bend bows or anything like that, or blend shapes. They're just letting the paw cut through the arm. So this is the big thing with the big thing with intersections when your character is holding something is we want to create the feeling of fleshiness when we're contacting things. And to do that, what you don't want to do is just hold an item so that it's just perfectly contacting. So, for example, if I've got my phone here, I don't want to just set it so that my character is just touching this perfectly, just exact contact like that, just like that. It won't feel like he's actually holding it, it'll feel like it's floating. Instead, you push it so that it cuts into the skin. So if, for example, if I wanted to contact here, you can see if I push it into my arm, how it's actually, it's losing the corner into the arm a little bit. It's intersecting. So I would do the same thing in my animation. It's not going to be perfect, but oftentimes you can get away and make it feel very natural without any bend bows or blend shapes or anything like that, any tools. You just have to be careful that you don't go too far to the point where it actually looks like he's putting his leg through the guy's arm. So it's really just an illusion. And if you render it correctly with the shadows, it makes it even more realistic looking. So is this always have to be half a screen? No. So in this case, you can see using the half the screen rule, you can see that the dog is, hey, pushing into the other guy's space. The other guy isn't pushing into the dog's space. This dog is pushing into the guy's space. This makes the dog the one that is not antagonizing, but kind of leading this situation. Even though he's lower, because he's pushing forward, he's taking control. But this can be, this kind of setup can be, I love that pose, it's so good. This kind of setup can be used in all sorts of different ways. So let's say, for example, you've got a scene here, and instead of two people talking, you have three. You've got a character on the left, character in the middle, and another character over here. Well, now you could technically split the screen in three, and now each one of them has their own space, and they can kind of push into each of their own spaces. You could format it like that. This would give each one an individual power that they can exert on the others. Or you could frame it in a sense where you split the screen in half, and now you could use this side to show whose side this person is on, depending on where he's looking. So if he's looking kind of this way, it kind of gives the feeling that he's on this person's side. If he was to go forward a little bit this way, but still looking kind of forward, he's still on this person's side, but now he's antagonizing the person on the left. If he's looking back this way, and the whole body is this way, now both of these people are on the same side against this person. You can use that to tell a kind of story in that sense. It is not a like golden rule and that's what it's like, it has to be like this. It's just a way of thinking about the scene and pushing that contrast in your shots much more clearly. But it can be split into threes, so you do the rule of thirds, for example. Now each person could be in their own shot. You could have 2 people maybe on this third here. So now you've got that kind of setup. That could work just as well for a different kind of scenario. Let's see. Can you do a quick analysis of the drunk girl talking about, I think, her mother? Yes, I did want to go over that one. That one was really good. Are you teaching live for AnimSchool? No, I teach for Animation Mentor, but honestly, all animation schools are really good. So AnimSchool here, if you're interested, check them out. They are fantastic. If you're interested in iAnimate, check them out. They are also amazing. I teach at Animation Mentor. I was also an Animation Mentor student. I think most of the people in here are probably Animation Mentor students. I love Animation Mentor. If I had to pick a school again, I would pick Animation Mentor. That's my personal preference because I really enjoyed the program and the people there are just so much fun. But this is the big thing. Like when I'm doing these Twitch streams and stuff, I'm not here to sell a specific school. I'm not here to go, hey, don't go to the other schools. Pick AM, pick Animation Mentor. Yeah. No. Everyone has a different learning experience. So it's very important that you pick the school that's right for you. And not every school is right for everyone. Some people prefer brick and mortar schools, not online. They just hate online schools. For me, I love online schools because it allows me to learn from home, which is really nice. Instead of like going, hey, pick Animation Mentor, pick the school that you want. And of all the schools, you've got iAnimate, AnimSchool, Animation Mentor. If you're below 18, it's below in the description. I forget the name. I'm blanking on the name. Anim something. There is a school for people who are 13 to 18 years old. Most other schools you have to be animation course. That's it. Thank you so much. So that's a great school, and that's actually created by one of the Animation Mentor mentors who wanted to help younger kids. Anim Squad is also really good, although I haven't done much. I didn't look too much into Anim Squad, to be honest, so I'm not sure exactly what their curriculum is like and how things work there. But I've heard from people who've gone there that they absolutely loved it. So all of these schools are fantastic. You're not going to go wrong with any of them. So pick the one that you feel is going to be the best choice for you. Yeah, they're very similar. I believe AnimSchool was created by an Animation mentor who wanted to kind of tweak the curriculum and make his own kind of teach the things he had learned. So they're very similar in the way they're set up. They just kind of focus on different things. Animation Mentor tends to focus more on the like getting, if you have no animation experience, kind of getting you there and getting all of those fundamentals in, and by the end you have something that you can apply to studios with and get a job. Whereas AnimSchool tends to ramp up that difficulty a little bit more and start into the higher stuff right away, which is good if you have previous experience. So it's kind of, they have their pros and cons, but both are fantastic. You're not going to go wrong. And then iAnimate is kind of the same as well. It's got its own focus. Yeah, Anim Dojo. I've heard good things about that, although I can't say personally about it. Again, it's just like secondhand stuff that I've heard. So let me just double check here. For basic tutorials, seems to animate on 2s in 2D first before going to 3D. So I watched Jason Ryan's tutorials. For the basic tutorials, he seemed to animate on 2s in 2D first before going into 3D. Is this a very popular workflow? Not really. Some people do it. So for example, I have a few friends who work at DreamWorks where they used to be 2D animators. So they would draw out their scenes before even going into 3D. They would just pretty much animate the whole thing in 2D and then animate in 3D because it was faster for them. They could plan it out and redraw much quicker than posing a rig. If you don't have drawing ability, you can't do that. Or some people just don't like to draw, even if they can draw. The big thing is as long as you get the shot done. And some people, it helps to draw. Others, it helps to shoot more reference. Others, it just helps to go straight into Maya. Everyone has a different workflow, and it's not a bad thing. You can kind of expand your skill set in different ways, and it'll still work. Now, let's go to the drunk scene here. I wanted to go over that. This one was really cool too. I love that.
With some
the singing.
What? Just a few droplets like that. Served, and each blue blood will die as they spew blood. A happy ending.
And that
for
little
us.
hip motion there, that was really nice. Like it just hit the beat right on, which was really nice. Okay. This one I really like. The squishiness in the face. If you look at how her face moves.
She was just trying to raise me.
Let me turn down that volume there because I'm assuming it's pretty loud for all of you guys.
She was being protected. She was horrible. She was being protected.
Like just that.
Oh, maybe she was being protected. She was horrible.
That little pause as she realizes what's going on is let's see. She kind of pauses here. You see right there as the eyes dart, there's this thought where it just pauses and she thinks, and they hold on that. They hold for, let's see, this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 frames, holding on that thought, letting the audience register that she didn't just change track and go, she was horrible, oh, she was okay, and just nonstop. There's this pause, this moment where she realizes what she's about to say and changes her mind. And then we go into this nice change in the character. So the thing that's kind of helping change the character here is the way they're kind of interacting with the other person. So at the beginning here, they're open to the other character. They're like trying to talk with them and create this connection. She was horrible. Like, don't you agree? And then she goes through and she realizes that, you know, maybe not. And now she's not talking to this person anymore. She's thinking about, she's in her own mind. She's pulled away. And the way they show this is by reversing the line of the face. So it closes off from the other person and she's just kind of in her own world. It creates this this feeling that she is just kind of alone now and wrestling with these thoughts that she's just had and coming to this realization
She was great.
before opening back up to the other character.
Right.
And now you can see it stays open the whole time.
Miserably, but she should win an award.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a reversal to add some contrast, but it was just a quick little thing. And then the rest of the time, it's now she's kind of talking to the other character until the end here, where they once again kind of open it up this way, as she kind of settles back into her own thought. So they use that eye direction very well here. And not just that, just the squishiness of the face. Like, look at that. You really feel those brows are low. The eyes come up here and they have this nice settle in there. The lips here drag forward. As she's going forward, you feel that drag in the lips there. You feel this puffiness in the cheek as it kind of leads. The cheek is the thing that's leading forward. They're really pushing that silhouette, and look at that fleshiness there. As her jaw drops down, you feel the whole cheek here. that whole cheek just stretch down.
It was great.
And then
She was just trying.
they really push the teeth as well. So they're making sure that as they're animating, they pose out the teeth cleanly and don't have, for example, the molars back here. This gives just a nice clean mouth shape there.
Trying to raise.
And then this is a pose that is very popular in animation and not really possible. Well, thankfully it's not possible, or we wouldn't be able to chew our food. Which is the front teeth are touching, the back teeth have a gap. Try to do that with your own teeth. Try to touch your front teeth together and leave a gap at your molars. You can't do that. You can't lower your jaw and rotate it this way. It's not possible because our molars are made to chew. If our front teeth are touching and our molars aren't contacting, you're not going to be able to eat properly. But in animation, this creates a nice dynamic shape. It's just visually appealing for some reason. Even though it's completely unnatural, it feels good. It looks dynamic.
Is me right? She failed miserably.
That failed miserably. The mouth corner here, it just goes down miserably. That feels so nice. And they just push that nice arc down there, using the top lip to kind of pop out of that M. And then the butt, whoop, just kind of pops out to the side. You feel the cheek puff kind of sinking in there. Just great shapes overall here. So good. This was another scene I really liked, specifically because they're using mechanics that people don't often show in demo reels. Someone in a wheelchair. There's other ways of getting around than walking. It could be in a wheelchair, it could be on a bicycle, it could be what else? Like you could have them on a scooter, you could have them riding up on a motorcycle where they get off the motorcycle. There's other ways to do body mechanics where the character is moving through a scene but not just walking. It's very important that we can, or that we don't limit ourselves to just, oh, we have to have a character walk from or go from point A to point B. How can it be more interesting? And in this case, does it really change the story much? Not terribly. She's worried that her bike is kind of becoming a junk heap, and she's trying to clean it up. That's it. That's the story. She could be standing for that. There's no reason why she has to be in the chair. But adding her into the chair with the cast adds a different twist to the story, but more importantly, adds a really cool mechanic that as a recruiter would be really cool to see. So the way she just comes in here, I love the energy she has right here coming forward. So let's go back here. So you get this big anticipation, roll forward, and that dip in the head, that kind of swoop right there with a nice overshoot. So she doesn't just come in and freeze. She comes in and you get that settle in there, which is great because then it allows the hair to overlap as well. So right there, Kendra. And the way they also push this is they time it with the mouth. So she goes, Kendra. So opens that up as she's going. This accentuates the stretch of the face. But then, as she goes forward and stops, her jaw closes. They could have done that at any, like, technically the lip sync could have happened at any time compared to the movement. She could have moved first and then said the line. But by timing it in this way, they exaggerate the squash and the stretch of the face and tie it into the motion of the character, which is just very appealing. It creates this dynamic feeling to the shot. Great brow pose right there, how it just kind of hits down, and then you get it open up just a little bit, not back up to this level. So what you want to avoid is going from A to the close, which would be B, and then back to A. You don't want that, because that just creates repetition. Instead, if let's say you have A, it goes down to B, it should go to a C pose. Now that C pose could be back up here, or maybe it's even higher. But you're not just bouncing between two poses. You're creating a flow, a narrative through even just the brow poses. It just helps to kind of accentuate those elements. This hand pose though, it's just, look at that, beautiful. It's so tight. It's just a form, and then as it comes up, it separates into this nice settle, and you see all the fingers kind of come out. The thumb comes out, and then it hits even harder here. So it's kind of relaxed and then even straighter, and the line of action is just right through, and it even actually goes down into this arm as well. So you just get this line of action and like that. Really powerful line. And that reach there. Look at the hand poses in this are just fantastic. Now I did hear, I did see a question earlier, I just remembered. Someone had asked, where do these environments come from? Typically when you see shots like this on a demo reel, or sorry, not a demo reel, on a showcase reel for a school, the environments are made by the school. So the student might have only been animating this, and it might have been like a polygon thing in terms of the motorcycle. It could have just been like in an empty open field. There might not have been any set pieces. No trees, no nothing. If the school picks a shot for a reel like this, or I should say a showcase, they will usually create the scenery and kind of add all the lighting for you and stuff, which is really nice. They might even modify the characters for you. Okay. Still trying to get to the drunk shot. Was it this one?
So happy. They were just so disgustingly happy. It's a lot to live up to.
No, that's not the drunk shot. First one? Oh wait, I did want to look at the first one. This moment here.
Not getting any better.
Some things just can't be fixed. This isn't the end. There are other things that can give your life meaning.
What? You?
That head turn right there. It is so powerful. That there's that little hold, like what? And he just holds, and then so it's a moving hold. It doesn't stop. You just get that, and then as he says "you," it just goes to the side. His eyes shrink down. The brows go right down here. It's so intense, and it feels so good. And then the way his head just kind of stops, and now it's not moving. It makes it feel very aggressive. It's just so good. And I like how there's a little Mike statue in the back there. And SpongeBob. I love it when they put little details like that. And then yeah, the computer had Maya on it. It's so cool. The mouth shape, even the mouth shape is sharp. It's just you, and just it hits out. It's not exaggerated. Ooh, you. It's you, and it's tight. The lips are tight. You can tell by how high the top lip is compared to the nose. So if you kind of look through here, he's got this kind of gap where the mustache is above his lip, between his lip and his nose. But then when he turns, look at how big that gap is. It shrank down a little bit. It makes it feel even tighter. Now, the other thing that they do really well here is delay her reaction, where he turns and you see that she hasn't really reacted yet. She reacts right here after he's finished the sentence, and it almost feels like he's turning and it's hitting her in the face. This kind of realization that he's not a nice guy. And the little subtleties, they don't have a big motion. It's not oh, like big motion back. It's just the body slightly is pulling away from him. The mug is lowering as she loses kind of, it's not losing energy, but her body's going slack. She's going loose as she realizes that he doesn't love her, or that he doesn't need her. And then just the brows there, that slow sinking. It's such a powerful shot. Yeah, it's hit with an emotional bullet. Exactly. So really good work there. Now, I'm trying to find the drunk shot. I like this lizard. Yeah, I did want to see this. So
within these orbs is enough to turn one into a living god.
This part right here, I did want to see this because this is really cool. So it comes back, anticipates. Look at that Benbow in there. That curve right in there. That is so cool. And it just goes through. Pause it.
Within these orbs is...
Wait, I want to see that. There's something that goes on when he says this orb. Look at that. This is the word orb. Oh, herb. That is so good. It makes no sense, but it works. And just that tongue kind of overlapping, you can feel it kind of whoop, it goes up and then back down. This sudden explosion right there. This is a nice detail. So as he's talking, you see this little bit of a, well, it's exaggerated, but this straightening of the eyes. And then comes through. And I want to see the spacing here. So the orb comes through. If you watch the orb just as kind of a bouncing ball per se, the orb itself is just kind of coming through and then whoosh, straight up. The arc of it is very simple, but they exaggerate that. And what they do is at the top, they overshoot, back down, and then a settle. Very quick. It's a stagger. So it goes out, back, up, and then settles back in. This creates a really powerful force in there. It's not just going up and then locks in place and then that's it. By overshooting, going too far and then coming back, it makes that moment feel so much stronger. Now there's a lot of mechanics here that in a normal shot would not work, but because it's so cartoony, they're just pushing everything. Like curl in the body, you can see it's almost like a golden ratio right through there. Really pushing the teeth. So the teeth are definitely rotated here because we can't see the other sides. You also just get the little bit of the cheek right in there before really just flipping around. Really nice. And then I love how even the tail, like it just hits the tail, bounces back up, and then catches it again. So good. The hand little wiggle. So one thing I really like here is how suddenly this character that was kind of goofy turns into something a little bit more menacing. And the way they do this is with the eyes, but also with the frill, how it kind of raises up. And even here, it's just more active now. All of these frames are so good. Great anticipation here. So he comes down and then he anticipates the anticipation to go down here, which is then an anticipation to jump. So it's an anticipation to an anticipation to an anticipation. But it works really well because they work. It's not just kind of going, okay, I'm going to run this way. Anticipate. Well, I should anticipate for this. Okay, go this way. Oh, wait, should add another anticipation for that. So what you end up with is a character doing this and then going, which doesn't feel like much of anything. It's just a lot of motion to then go forward when you could easily just go and then forward. So what makes this work is that each motion kind of builds one on top of the other. So he comes down here, hits right there, really nice. He kind of anticipates, builds up, and goes lower. So instead of going left, right, or just up, down, what he's doing is he goes down, then up, and then down again before going out like that. So it's building into something versus just wiggling. And Aofa, thank you so much for the follow. As long as it's good quality and you're proud of it, take your time. Oh wait, did I miss a question? Let me check here. Should I really care if I spend a long time on project? It depends. So if the point of the project is just a learning exercise, try not to spend too much time on it. Now again, this depends on what you're trying to learn, but if you're just starting out, ideally you should be doing quick exercises to try and understand fundamentals, to try and understand the 12 principles of animation, all of these things. It allows you to kind of go through more and learn faster. If you're spending a lot of time on one long project, you're still going to learn, but if you do something wrong at the beginning, now you're dealing with that mistake for the rest of the project, and it just makes it longer and you're not kind of getting a polished piece. If you do a short animation, you do a mistake at the beginning, well, okay, scrap it, let's do another one. Okay, that one's done, move on, until you're just building up that momentum and that speed of animating and knowing what you're doing. From there, you can move on to larger projects to practice different elements, so composition, storytelling, things like that. Kind of polish, longer polish. But you've already got that core, those fundamentals in place. Let's see. So hopefully that helps. How do you create those quick snap movements from pose to pose? Just a mix of less space between keys and motion blur? Well, you don't even need motion blur for it. Technically, you could use smears. So anything like any type of way to connect frames together. But a lot of it, if you're trying to go from, like, you can see this is a big pop right here. It's a very exaggerated moment. That head is going from all the way here to all the way up here in one frame. Well, how do they do that? Well, one, it's exaggerating the spacing. So instead of always moving things where you ease out and ease in and just kind of doing that, kind of, let's say you had that many frames and everything's just kind of ease in, ease out, and then moving through, just try to push it to really ease in, and then you might have one frame in the middle like that. That's going to exaggerate that motion. So that can help a lot in terms of getting the the spacing to work in an interesting way. The next thing is you have to connect the spacing. So if you do have a big pop in your movement, what makes things feel like a pop, let's actually draw this here. So get rid of all that. So what makes things feel like a pop is not specifically the speed of the motion. It's the gap between. So let's say you've got a ball here and it's going to just go across the screen, and we want the spacing to be very heavy ease and then ease in there. So how do we get that to work? Well, basically what we need to do is we've got, if I was to just draw the poses naturally, we would get that, then the ease. Now, this is going to feel like a pop, because especially from these two poses, there's not much that's actually connecting them together anymore. We are getting this wide gap that just creates a visual pop. Our eyes are not tracking the motion. So instead, what we would need to do is we would need to start to stretch the sphere to connect them. And that's what we're doing. By adding a smear, it could be smears, multiples, lines, any of those things. What we're doing is that we are connecting the drawings. So I could really push this one, and that's what motion blur does as well. Push that one there, and something like that. So now we've smeared the animation, but if you look at it, we've got the exact same amount of poses, but no gaps between poses, or very few gaps. You can have some gaps. It's not like everything has to connect, but it reduces that spacing. So in this case, when he jumps up, to make that work, they just connect everything. You can see the tail barely moves. The tail, the sphere is still there, but his head has jumped a huge amount. So everything is connected, and it lets us follow the action very clearly. So that's kind of how you would deal with it, is whatever tool you use, motion blur, smears, any of that, it's really trying to connect the drawings in a appealing way. I really relate to this one. I've had to go out in the snow too many times in sandals, and it's not fun. Let's see. Let's see. How much time was spent on this shot? It's hard to say. If it's for AnimSchool, I would assume probably is it one character dialogue, maybe 6 weeks or so, something like that. It's hard to say though. Let's see. Oh yeah, Alessandro Camparota. He's an animator. He did go to AM. I remember when he went through AM. He was really awesome. He's an awesome guy and has an awesome YouTube channel. I definitely recommend giving him a follow. And Snappy Curve, thank you so much for the follow as well. Yeah, he does great stuff, and he's a really nice guy. Would you say animate the animation, and if you use too many frames, delete the frames, or you can just combine frames into smear frames? If you have if you use too many frames, you could combine them. That's basically the same as deleting them. It's just kind of whether you delete them or combine them. You have to readjust the animation once you remove some frames to make it work. very rarely can you just take an animation and go, oh man, there's too many frames here, let's just take that out, and then done. Usually you have to redraw those frames or reposition those frames, either to make a smear or just to kind of push the spacing to be better. Let's see. I feel like I've missed. How do you create those? Oh yeah, okay, so I answered that. If you want to learn more about things like this, I 100% suggest reading Animator Survival Kit. Yes, it's a very good book. I actually have it back there. It's that one right there, the white one. That one right there. It's very, very good. It is for 2D, but it applies to any animation. And this is the thing with animation, is whether you're learning in 2D or 3D, it's the same thing. There's different principles to get it to work, in the sense of, well, one you have to draw, one you have to pose in a rig, but that's the technical side of it. The actual animation side of it is the same principles. They're no different. Yeah, and that is a good note, Game King, is for anyone who's jumped in here, these shots are for the AnimSchool student showcase. These are animated by the students, who many of them have professional experience already, so don't feel bad if you are in school and your shots don't compare to these. These people might have experience working in a studio before, and now they're just polishing their skills. But on top of that, all of the lighting, all of the set design, all of the, even sometimes the clothing, it's not made by the students. That's made by the school when they put the showcase together. So if you were to see the actual student shots, they might be like, this character might just be on a polygon plane with the default Maya blue color right here, like just this blue right there, and that's it. There might not be anything more to that. That's not a bad thing, as long as the acting is through. All of this rendering stuff, it makes it look pretty, but it's not needed for a final project. Let's see. So I still want to, was it this? I'm trying to find the drunk shot. Maybe I'm forgetting what it was. Was it this one?
I don't have time to be walking the woods right now.
So happy. They were just so disgustingly happy.
Nice.
It's a lot to live up to.
That feels really good. I love that hand motion on the glass there. To me, hand motion like that is just so good. It's one of those things where if you have the time, add these little hand textures. It takes time to do. It's tedious because most rigs don't have IK fingers, which means if you have IK fingers, you can just push the fingertips in place and then do that, where the fingertips just stay in place. Most rigs, almost no rigs, have that. It's nice when they do, but instead you have to manually reposition the finger at every point to make sure that it feels like the hand is actually sliding across the glass, that you get that tension in there. It's a lot of work, but you can see the results right here, how it just pushes that and makes it so interesting. Like, look at how the finger kind of hits the rim here, sticks, and then you feel it kind of readjust right there. Just feels so good. This is definitely heavily referenced, or I would assume. I'm not going to make any grand statements, but I would assume this was very heavily referenced, where they just looked at their reference and they didn't copy it. No, they exaggerated, they pushed it, but they looked for all the little mechanics that was happening, instead of just trying to invent it all. That would be very hard to kind of come up with all of this motion here. how do you go about doing a smear in 3D? Is it animating the scale value? There's a lot of different ways. I actually did a video on a bunch of different ways of animating smears in Maya. Let me find it here for you. So it's loading up right now. Come on. So if you go onto the Twitch page here and then click on the icon. Sorry, it's a little slow. I've got, apparently my internet doesn't like me right now. So if you go here and just click on the icon and go to videos, there's a whole bunch of demos that I've done, and if you go to the Maya demos here, there's creating smear frames and multiples in Maya and multiples and smears. So I've done a few demos on this, and this basically goes on many ways you can create all of these, like not just multiples and smears, but like lines and distortions, all sorts of different effects. So that can help, and these would apply to pretty much any rig. Yeah, and then some rigs like that toy rig or like the twig rig, the cowboy rig, they have controls that basically allow you to smear them to a certain degree. And yeah, and Mal, hello, thanks so much for the follow. Do you have a YouTube channel? I want to make one. It's just finding the time. Unfortunately, that's the big thing. I want to cut down all of these streams to just like bite-sized. Oh, here's a 10-minute thing of just this topic instead of a 3-hour. Wait, he talked about it in this stream. Where was it? Never mind. I do want to make it more condensed. I just need to find the time. Yay. Let's see. What is the best favorite AM rig? Ooh, that's a tough question. For me, I've got a lot of sentimental value with Bishop. He's definitely not the best rig. He's a very old rig, which he was good at the time. He was very good at the time, but rigs have gotten so much better. I really liked him just because he was the one I learned with. Now I would say my favorite AM rig is, I would say, it's hard to say. Maybe Overlord. His face is just so exaggerated that it's fun to pose out. I tend to use Jules and Aya a lot more just because they're kind of the most recognizable and go-to that students kind of use the most. I also really like Shaman. He's really cool too. Yeah, I would say probably Overlord. Yeah, I'll say Overlord for now until my my mind changes. Hire an editor. I've been thinking of trying to find an editor. The main thing is it takes forever to edit the streams, and I've got so many of them. It would have to be a full-time editor, which unfortunately I can't afford, and I would want to pay. That's the big thing, is I don't want to, if I get an editor, I would want to pay them properly, make a whole thing out of it. And the amount of work needed would be astronomical. It would basically be a full-time job.
On my videotape machine now.
I love this hand pose. Just this comes up, poink, and then bleep. It's so good. And how his eyes are looking straight at it. Oops, that was a terrible circle. His eyes are just kind of looking straight at that. It's just so good.
Anytime I want.
Let's see. Yeah, I just love the timing. Like how fast does that go? So it comes up here and it holds for, I would count this as part of the hold. Well, actually, let's go here. So 1, 2, 3. So it holds for 3 frames if you don't count the slight ease out. And then 1, 2, It looks like there's a held frame here, but that's so 1, 2, 2 frames, maybe 3 if you count that held pose, because it is adding time. But that's just 3 frames to bring the whole hand down. And the way they make this work is, one, there's the motion blur, but then they're dragging the fingers. This finger stays way behind, so we kind of just focus on the minor stuff. I totally agree. A full-time editor would definitely give me more time to sleep. It would be a huge ease on the schedule, which would then allow me to do more things, which is like, hey, yes, it's like win-win. It really comes down to I would want to give a fair wage for any job like that.
I want to watch the Pope anytime at all.
I just noticed the juice box has the character from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, if I remember correctly. And then you've got the My Little Pony font there. They have so many little Easter eggs, like animation Easter eggs in here. It's fantastic.
Or night, middle of the night.
Good tapping here. They hit the beats of his dialogue very well with the hand. And look how strong it hits. The finger comes down, it contacts and bends in half right there. And you get that extra squish right there before it drags back, comes in, holds, and then there's a whole anticipation for this one button press. Look at the anticipation. You can even see it in the shoulder. The elbow and the shoulder come up. It even goes into the cheeks. They're timing it with the dialogue so that even the cheeks feel like anticipating, and everything goes into this one finger press. It makes it so powerful. Really pushing those brows, that mouth.
Pope on TV.
So good. Yeah, all of these shots are fantastic. This one's really good. That little hip motion right there. It's not much, but right there. It's like that kind of motion is super appealing to begin with, because really what you're doing is you're just pushing the straight versus curve. So if ever you want to push the graphical appeal of a pose, you can try to push the straight versus the curve. You can see how much that kind of makes that just pop and stand out. If the character is, let's say, how to draw this, if they're even on both sides like this, it's not visually that interesting compared to something like this. Straight versus curve, simple versus complex. And when they do that hip motion, that's what it's doing. It's accentuating that concept. Like, for example, here, it's complex on both sides. But then when she goes out here a little bit, now we get more complex, a little bit more simple. So that already adds so much appeal in there. But what makes it even better is that they're timing it to the dialogue and to the singing, to the beat of the song, and it just makes it a hit in there. I love his little eye dart right here, and how he looks across and then up. So as he's opening his eyes, the eyes are getting dragged up by the eyelids in a sense, or you could also say the eyelids are being pushed up by the eye. So nice. See, I absolutely love how the reel became the topic of today's stream. Watching an analysis of great work is so helpful. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to do this for the stream. I had no idea what I was going to talk about for today's stream. I had some plans, and then half hour to an hour of sleep wasn't quite enough to recharge those planning batteries. But I'm so glad that this was brought up because there's just so much good stuff in here. Like even here, like look at the mouth shape. Once again, they're doing that same thing where if you look at the teeth, these teeth are tight together, just compressed. These ones are separated. Let's see. How do you know when to eye dart and when to move them without the dart? Typically eyes almost always dart. So eyes will, let's see if I can find some stuff here. Like if you look at the eyes, that's an eye dart right there. This is slightly like it's a slow dart. Usually you'll do eye darts over 1 or 2 frames. This is taking 1, 2, 3 frames, which is still technically an eye dart. It's just slower. Now, when do you not do eye darts? Or let's say, what's the difference between them? So the eye darts are basically most of the motions of the eyes. So as we move the eyes, our eyes tend to just dart around. It's the way the muscles are built in the eyes. It makes it easier to focus on things, and it's just because they're small muscles, they tend to move much faster. So that causes our eyes to dart. And this happens for when we're looking around, when we're reading. If you watch people reading, their eyes don't scan the page cleanly. It jumps. So tuk, 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 and then back. Tuk, tuk, tuk. It's jumping on the page. So our eyes will most of the time tend to dart. The time that they don't is when we focus on something. So if you look at something, so like for example the finger here, and I move that and my eyes are tracking that, now my eyes are going to move a little smoother because they are tracking a specific thing. The other time is if I'm looking at something and I'm moving my head. So now you can see the eyes are moving, but they're not darting, they are sticking in place. Versus if I look around and I'm trying to move them smoothly, but they're just kind of jumping. So it's the focus. If your character is going to be locked onto something, that's when the eyes are going to move more smoothly. If the character is looking on their own power and not focused on one specific thing, it's going to dart. That's the general rule. Now there are exceptions, of course, but that would be the general thing. And Abracadabra Draws, thanks so much for the follow. Let's see. And John, take care. And yes, I am looking forward to the return of Navi and getting to see some more of your work and get to draw some more Navis. And will you be gaming tomorrow? I'm hoping I will. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm thinking of doing some different streams on Saturdays. Usually I do like animation demos and stuff. But people keep telling me I should play more games. So on Saturdays for the next few weeks, I'm going to try something where we play a little bit of a video game and then save clips from it and then analyze the clips from that game. Or OG Paper Mario. Oh, I never played the original one. I played Thousand Year Door, but that one was really good. I always wanted to play the original. That one was really cool. Let's see. There was one more clip I wanted to check before. Let's see. Phantasy Star Online came out on Wednesday. Nice. Or Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Ooh. I don't think I heard about that one. Let me. Hellblade. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember this one. This one was a really cool game. So for anyone who doesn't know, I've never played it. Oh, I have to log in. I've never played it, but I have seen people kind of play the intro to it, and it's really cool because they use I forget what the term is. They use audio very clearly, so it's kind of like ASMR in a sense, where the audio plays a very important part of the game, and you really have to pay attention to where it is around you, if I remember correctly. It sounded really cool. I'd love to check it out. It seems interesting. It kind of has a God of War-esque feel in the sense of like it seems like very mythological, which I very much like. So let's see.
You could consider calling first.
Okay, look, Polly.
No, I can't do this, Larry.
Which clip was it that I wanted to play?
Can we...
One thing I really like here, it's a minor detail, but
You're never gonna change, you know.
I am gonna change.
that little hair bit when he goes, "I am gonna change," and that hair falls out, that is a great detail. If you didn't have that, it wouldn't change the performance at all. He could do the same motion forward, "I am gonna change," and you'd have the exact same motion underneath. But that hair popping out tells so much about the character. It shows just how frazzled this has gotten him. The fact that she says, "You're not going to change," and he snaps at it. Snaps to the point where his nice, clean hair falls to the side. He's becoming, I guess, to put it to a large term, it's the Jekyll and Hyde thing. Nice and polite, oh, everything's fine. And then he loses it just for a little bit, and you see that that Mr. Hyde start to come out. So it's not much, but it adds a lot. And then you see that slight realization here of realizing that he did let it out and he can't put it back in. He can't fix that hair. It's this visual proof of maybe he can't change. And it adds so much. It's just hair. But in this case, it added a lot to the story. You could have had the entire performance without it, but that one detail adds so much. Let's see. I would love to play Dragon's Quest 11. I've never played a Dragon's Quest game, and I love the music. The big thing is with RPGs is the time commitment. I've got, for example, I want to play Octopath Traveler. I actually have it, but there's it's so much time to play an RPG, but the music is so good in it. I so want to play it. And Najim, thank you so much for the follow. Most recent Final Fantasy, maybe? Oh, Final Fantasy. Do you mean the Final Fantasy 7 remake or Final Fantasy 15, 13? I forget now. I do want to play the... Oh, you know what? That would be interesting. I actually got a copy of the original Final Fantasy on the Switch. I don't know if it's how good it is compared to the PS1 version. But it would be interesting to play just a little bit of that and then compare the animation from that to Final Fantasy 7 remake. That would be fun. So ooh, now this is a good song. A lot of people aren't a fan of Donkey Kong 64. It had problems, but to me it was just so much fun. I want to see this punch here. Okay. So this is something I tell a lot of my students all the time, and this is a perfect, yes, Donkey Kong Country. You can't beat Donkey Kong Country. That is a classic of a game and a masterpiece. When animating impacts, when animating punches, but this applies to any kind of strong impact, is that you want to skip the contact frame. So what this means is that as she punches, let's say she's punching him on the nose, you don't want to see this frame. Excuse me. Throat throwing out there. You don't want to see this frame. No. The reason for that, that's going to make a very soft punch. That moment right there when it touches. Instead, excuse me. Instead, we want to skip past that. So you have the frame before the contact. Oops, went a little too far there. So you have the frame before the contact, and then look at that. His body is barely reacting, but his head has just smushed and smeared around this fist. That is amazing there. And then you have the whole body react to that. So it's this offset where she punches him, but the face reacts first, and then you have this wave that goes through. Now, depending on the strength of the hit, the wave would be more extreme or less extreme. But you do not show the contact frame if you want it to be very powerful. I love the tongue. It's just kind of wiggling. That's so well done. And then I love her expression here. How the eyes close first. It drags the brow down. Then the mouth comes up. And the whole face just kind of keeps squishing in here. Before the brows relax first, then the mouth. That's so good. And I like even I'm assuming the wife, the girlfriend in the back. She has this little reaction to the guy being punched, and then the eyes just kind of open up and just kind of stare. You don't need much more than that. Analyze Tetris 99. There's some animation stuff in there that's really cool. The effects that go like between all the Tetris menus is really cool. Let's see. I never played Ninja Gaiden Black. I've never played any of the Ninja Gaiden games. Let's see. I dug up my Nintendo 64 a few days ago and started replaying Banjo-Kazooie. Oh, that game. Banjo-Kazooie. As much as I love Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, those are like top tier for me. Banjo-Kazooie, it almost, in some cases, it surpasses even those. That is such a fun game. Really, I would love to analyze that game because even the animation, it's rudimentary by today's standards, but it was really good. And I still have my Nintendo 64. I wonder, no, I don't have any games in it right now. I've got it just sitting right back behind me there. That's what that TV is for those old games. I like how his hand kind of just holds up there and then bloop, falls. And her reaction there. I love how you have two different reactions. One is like despair. The other one is like, oh, well, that was easy. So nice. And it's just so springy. Like, look how much the face compresses right there. It's just so flexible. Great posing. You can see that they're really pushing the benbows here. Really shaping the legs. Shaping the forms here. Not letting the rig just kind of be at its default, which is very nice. Nice. I need to play the Ratchet and Clank games. I played halfway through the first one. I've got the whole series, but I never had time to actually play the rest, which is really sad. That and the Spyro games. The new Spyro remake, I would love to analyze the animation in that one. I'd have to bring I have it for the PS4, so I'd have to bring my PS4 here to be able to screen capture it. Set it up here.
I have laid eggs.
Yeah, I want to take a look at one more thing here.
That sarcastic, contemptuous.
This is such a good motion. What I really love is how it just leads with the head. You have that kind of motion of the head. We talked about this earlier, the left to right screen space. So if you look at the character, for the most part, they're staying on their side right here. But then as they get angry, they lunge into it. Even though it's kind of coming towards camera, they are still crossing into the left screen space. And the fork is like right, it's all the way to the other side of the screen. And that's the overshoot. It's very important that you get those overshoots in there. If you have big, strong actions, don't let it just kind of hit and then just stop and freeze. How would you do that kind of perspective? It depends on the lens length. So if the lens length, this kind of feels like it's, I would say this looks like maybe close to a 35 to 40 millimeter lens for the set here. Yeah, around there. So that would not allow for this much distortion by default. So what's happened is they've just stretched the arm out, I would assume. They might have done something else, but the easiest way would just be to stretch the arm out so that it's really close to camera. Like just make that arm twice as long as it needs to be. And even the body might, or the neck specifically, might be way longer than it actually should be to get the head at this perspective there. You can also scale the hand as well. But then when you're rendering, the problem with scaling the hand is that you lose a depth of field. So the depth of field, for anyone who doesn't know, is the reason why the fork is very blurry here, whereas the eye is in focus. It's the same thing here, where if I bring my hand close up, you can see it's all blurry. The background is blurry back there, but I'm in focus. That's depth of field. And if you scale up the hand, but it's over here, it's going to be bigger, but it'll still mostly be in focus. Even if it's like there, if I scale it up, it'll still mostly be in focus. But if I double the length of the arm, you push that feeling of focus, and you really accentuate this is in focus, that is not, which even doubles the effect that you want. So it might be a mixture of both, because you kind of want to play around with getting that perfect depth in there. The other thing is that if you scale up the hand, you'd also have to scale up the fork and the prop too, so that they have the same relation to each other. Which is not a bad thing. Like that would be pretty simple to do as well. So my guess is that the arm is longer and maybe with a little scaling right here. Then I love how the character comes back in. Now they're in their space. It's so cute. That gesture there is adorable. How it starts with the anticipation of the head. You've got this contrast. The head's coming down as the arm is coming up, so you're getting this motion. Head down, arm up. That makes this whole thing feel very nice and organic, versus if the hand and head just go back at the same time, that feels very locked in place. Even if they're not exactly the same spacing, it just feels boring compared to that. And I love that little defocus. It's like the character's remembering, and then and the eyes just kind of stare in the middle distance before just a little slight pupil shift, and then you go into this. And the little lip quiver. I didn't notice that before. It's adorable. It's a very simple thing. It's just a loop of the lip kind of bobbing up and down. And then this reaction. Just the way the eyes kind of shrink. And you see the hackles raising up. And then the bottom lip swaying. And look how much they're pushing the pupils. It's so extreme. And a little eyelid twitch right there. Oh, so good. And what really helps is, in this case, this character is not just angry, they're frazzled. So we looked at the previous one with the orb, and how when he became more menacing, his spines kind of went up. This character is kind of becoming more menacing in a sense by being more like tight, but to avoid it feeling threatening, they pushed all of these so that they're just kind of all sorts of random directions, which makes the character feel like they've just been shocked. Same thing with the tail. By having it in a zigzag, it creates this feeling of it takes away from the strength of the character and makes them feel more crazed, I guess you could say. So just it's so good. Let's see. Do people ever combine references or create one reference? I might put that in stream suggestions towards learning how to combine references. Most people will combine references. It's basically you just shoot a whole bunch of references and then put them together. Put your favorite bits of references, or even let's say you have 10 references and they're kind of all of the same thing. You find your favorite one, and then maybe you like the beginning of like another one. You take that, put that at the beginning, and okay, now you've got this cut up piece of reference. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the thing. It doesn't have to have every single element all in one. And it will be cut up, which means it's not going to be like one-to-one to your animation. But since we're pushing our animations anyway, that's not important, as long as the main motions and physicality are working. Now, the other thing that I like to do is I'll look at all my references, and if there's elements like maybe, reference 3 I'm not a fan of, but there's that one thing I did with the eyes. There was just like a weird blink I did, or like a facial pose that I did. I really like that. I'll write it down and I'll just make a note of it. So on reference 3, on frame like 200, try to implement that eye position. On reference 5, there's a hand pose. Really like that. Okay, make sure I put that in. This way I'm mixing them together. What if it's 2 different poses? Well, if it's 2 different poses but they're similar enough, so you have a character like this and then a character like this, that's easy enough. So when you have the cut, it goes and took like that. That's easy enough to kind of create a little bit of an animation of just kind of bring the hand out, or I might just tweak it so the hand just stays on the mouth longer. If it's really different poses, what I'll do is I'll shoot another reference that bridges the 2 together. So if I like the beginning of the first, I like the middle of the second, but they don't really connect well, then I'll try to reshoot reference of redo that beginning of the first and connect it into what I want to have happen, and then I get the best of both worlds. Now, sometimes you can't do that. So for example, if you're animating a dragon or a cat or a dog even, you can't shoot reference of an animal and have them do exactly what you want. So you have to piece together animation or references that have no connection whatsoever. Let's see. So the music, for anyone who's interested, is a channel called Rainwave, and it's not putting in here. If you type in here, let me do this. It's just a free music channel, and they've got game music, chiptune music, OC remix, all sorts of stuff on there. And I love it for working because video game music is made to be in the background, which means it's great for animating. So to get back to the question, sometimes you won't have a choice of getting that perfect reference. You will have 2 clips that you want to use. Maybe you want to use a cat video where a cat's walking along, and then this other video of a cat jumping up onto a counter or onto a table or something. and they just don't sync up properly. Maybe the one is walking and then the other one starts with the cat sitting. Okay. Well, now you have to get the cat sitting. Okay, so now you find a reference of how do cats sit. But it's not going to be this right motion from the same walk to the same sit. It's going to be different. That's fine. This is where we as an animator have to fill in the gaps and study the motion, understand how the cat moves, and then try to create it ourselves and recreate that motion. So it's just part of the process. Sometimes you'll get a reference that is like spot on and you just I'm not going to say you copy it, but you follow it very closely because the acting in it is just so good. Other times you'll have references, it's okay, but it gets you the main things and then you push it in the animation and you exaggerate things. And that's good. Other times you'll have reference that you follow along and halfway through you kind of just, okay, I'm done with this, put it to the side. I don't need it anymore because the shot is so unique from the reference. For example, like animating a dragon. At some point when you're animating a dragon and you're using reference of a bat is this big. A dragon's the size of a house. You get the main motions in there. After that, it's gone because now you have to kind of recreate how a dragon would move, and that applies other physics and stuff. Not physics, but body mechanics. Let's see. Saying if fall class will be online, in-person mix plus possible Saturday classes. Yay and nay. As long as you're getting more free time and time to not have to commute, that's always nice. I know a lot of people, like with all of this stuff that's been happening, especially animators, it's amazing the amount of time that they save just because they don't have to commute anymore. Like some of my friends, it's like, what was it? Every day they were driving 2.5 hours. Was it 2.5 hours to and from work? So that's like, let's say 4 hours a day of commuting. 5 days a week, that's 20 hours. It's almost a full day on the road commuting. And that's not including shopping and all of that other stuff. With all of this, suddenly they have a full extra day in the week of time that they can just spend with family or do whatever they want, learn something new, play games. It's really nice. Yeah, it's amazing how much commute can be a killer. Like for me, if I was not working from home, which for anyone who doesn't know, I do freelance, I work from home. I also teach at Animation Mentor, which is online, so I work from home. If I wasn't working from home and I had to go to studio nearby here, it would take me an hour just to get to the studio or to the workplace if there was no traffic. That's like an empty road. It would take me an hour. Which means then I would have 2 hours in my day there and back as long as I don't hit traffic. Basically, that's 10 hours in a week that I spent on the road, just driving on a straight road. 10 hours. That's a long time. Now, if you can use that, as I should drink. If you use that time wisely, so you're driving, you're listening to podcasts or something, not watching anything, but maybe listening to something, you can use that time productively, in a sense. But it still wears down, and some people, they can't drive while listening to something. They have to focus, especially when you're in the city. That is such a waste of time. And it's funny how, as a society, we knew it was a waste of time, but now that like all of these jobs are kind of available from home, it's like, wow, like when you put it all together, it's a big difference. Like I didn't realize just how much time I was wasting away on travel. And then that's not even counting preparing because you have to take a shower, you have to get changed, you have to prepare. When you work from home, you get out of bed, okay, put on a shirt, done. You can work in your pajamas as long as you're not going in a video call. There's no rush, so you save time in that sense as well. It's it's a big time sink. Now, like it was mentioned right there, some people use that time to think. So some people, when they're commuting, this is their quiet time. This is their time just for themselves. They're driving. It's this zen moment, and that's good. If you can use your time productively in that sense, then it's not a waste. For many people, commuting is just stress, though, which when you take out all those hours of stress, I can imagine so many people must be just so relieved. Catching up on reading is very good if you have public transportation. Let's see, speaking of which, can you do a stream about freelancing and starting to get into it? Pros and cons. I can definitely do that. Now, to be fair, I'm not the best person to talk about freelancing, mostly because I've never applied for a job. I applied for one job. Most of my jobs come from all my contacts that I know. People just go, hey, can you help out with this? And it's like, sure. And I just help out. And that's just because I made so many contacts working at Animation Mentor or not working at Animation Mentor, but going through Animation Mentor and being part of the community, that I have these opportunities I wouldn't have normally. So it's not a fair comparison to a lot of people who might not have that. Now, if it's just about working at home and kind of that kind of pro and con, I can go into it a little bit here. We can try to go into it more into a larger stream. And yes, I would agree. Sir Wade would probably be a little bit more knowledgeable on the freelancing side of things, because especially with YouTube, that's kind of what he's doing in a sense. So he would be very good on that topic. But one of the big things when you're freelancing, one of the pros is that you can work from home typically, and kind of do your own thing. But a problem with it is that you work from home and you're not part of a studio group. So it's harder to learn and grow. So it's harder to kind of get that network of people who you can just go, hey, can you take a look at this? And you can watch their work and kind of learn from them as you work. Let's see, a cappella extractor. Is this what I think it is? Oh, that's cool. I haven't heard of that. I'll have to check that out. I put a space in there, but it's for removing music from audio clips. Interesting. I'll have to try that. I would be interested to see how well it works, because isolating music is a very tricky thing. Let's see. Only had one failed experiment out of 6. Nice. That's good. That could be a big game changer for animation clips. I'll be doing some testing on that for sure. Because so many clips, it's like, oh man, I love this clip, and that music, it's just in the way. Like, it's not bad, but it doesn't help at all, or sometimes it's too loud, or let's see, I do watch Sir Wade, mainly his YouTube videos, and not on the stream, as the hours don't work exactly with mine. But it seemed like most of his revenue was from Patreon, Twitch, YouTube, instead of freelancing work. Yeah, so that is true. He does freelance with different companies. It's more promotional stuff. But let's see. I'm sorry, my thoughts are I'm losing track of my own thoughts. The same kind of fundamentals apply. Now let me actually, this is going to be very important, so we're going to talk about this a little bit. When you're freelancing, the hardest thing is finding out what the heck you should be paid. That's the hardest thing. When you're working at a studio, they pay you. You sign your deal with them, and that's pretty much it. But when you're working on your own, how do you charge? What do you charge a studio? How much do you charge? Okay. You don't know. So there is this document here. I'm going to share it. See. I'm going to share it in the chat, and then I'll go over it with everyone here. It's just taking a little while to load there. And Nicholas, I'm doing well. I am tired, so I look the way I feel. Okay. So here's the link. Let's see. For your freelance, is it actually 3D character animation or more like 3D generalist? Mostly character animation. If it's a smaller project, I'll sometimes do like generalist stuff like rendering and some modeling. I don't do rigging nearly as much. It's just simple rigging if I have to. But it's just kind of generalist stuff, like that kind of thing. Mostly it's animation. So here's the link. Hopefully that'll work for everyone. This is this was created by who was it? Their name is right here. By at Beeves, Alex. This is a calculator for figuring out how much should you charge for freelance. So basically you just put in your numbers and it will calculate how much you should charge. For example, you've got your what's your cost of living? How much does it cost you to live where you are? Depending on where you are, that will change a lot. Then it calculates all the taxes and stuff. Now if you have different taxes, you would just double click in the cell, and let's go into view formula bar and just change the percentage. So you would take that, so change to 28 in this cell. So you just go, okay, my taxes are 30%, or let's say 25%. Boop. And then it'll auto calculate for you. Or is it this cell? Let me double check. Oh yeah, sorry, this one. 25. There you go. So now it automatically calculates. So you can change all your taxes and stuff. Do you have to do it in a rush delivery? Okay. If you have to do it in rush delivery, you would add this amount. It would show you your regular rate. And then this one. This is a very special fee that not many people talk about, but it is kind of important. Is there are certain companies and jobs that you might have worked for before, or maybe you've heard of them before, and you know that they don't treat their employees well. You know that it is a nightmare to work for them. They are picky. They are just bad clients. It's just not a good working relationship. But they keep coming to you for work. This rate is basically, okay, I don't want to work for you, but if you're willing to pay this much amount, I'll suffer through it. It's basically you're going, here's my price. It's way more than normal, so go with someone else. That's basically what you're kind of going. It's like, go with someone else, but if you're willing to pay this, I will suffer through all of this garbage. So that is an important rate, because you sometimes you don't want to say no to a client because they do come back, but you want to not have to work for it unless you're really well paid for it. So that is, as much as it doesn't usually come up, it is an important thing to keep in mind. Now, you have taxes right here, how many days you need to work per year at your day rate to cover your expenses. That'll kind of cover all of that. And then here, your expenses. You would put in all your expenses right here. So, for example, let's say my rent was, I don't know, $500 a month. Cheap rent. My food. I don't eat that much, so let's go $100 a month. I live on, what would it be? Like beef jerky. There you go. My utilities. Well, my utilities are expensive. My internet alone, it sucks. Transportation. Well, I do have to drive to the city, so let's say every month I have to spend like $100. So you can see how it's starting to take into account everything that I'm doing, and it's calculating it for me. Exactly. 30 minutes of sleep and beef jerky? Good. Clothing. I got most of my clothing from conventions. So when I go to conventions, I just get the free t-shirts. So, hey, no clothing. I'll put $1. Debt, if you have any debt, that's a very important one. Entertainment, Netflix, all of that. Let's say that adds up to, I don't know, $50 a month. That's kind of expensive, but insurance, again, very important. This is one that people forget all the time. Savings. When you get paid, part of your payment should go into savings. When you animate at a job, you are getting benefits. So when you're working at a studio, you typically get benefits, you get all these kind of tax breaks, all of this stuff, your retirement fund, things go into like your pension, all of that. When you're freelancing, you don't have that. So you have to charge for it. You have to. If you do not, you are not charging enough. Part of your cost is going to be the money that you need to save for emergencies, for dental work, because you're not getting a dental plan, for health costs, because you don't have a health plan, especially if you're in the United States. I'm in Canada, so healthcare is mostly free other than certain things, which still sucks, but at least most of it is still affordable. But even then, if I have to get dental work done, that's not covered, and that is, yeah, dental plan, floss, done, haha. My teeth are all mangled and out of place, but floss will work. Just tie it in place, done. So that is very important. Savings, you need to be saving some money, and you'd want to calculate like how much do you need to save to cover things. Yeah, being alive is expensive. Let's see, if I want to have my own copy of this, you would go to File, Make a Copy, and then you would save it onto your Google Drive. And then everyone can have a copy of this, and you can edit and change it however you want. And I would definitely recommend, if you have time, going over to @Beeves here, and just giving him a thank you, because this sheet is really cool. And it's very kind that they took the time to put all of this together. So we've got all of this, and it gives us our total per month and our total per year. So let's say this is what we've got. Well, now we've got our annual cost of living right up there, and our fee, so our hourly rate is $35 an hour. There we go. Now, is that exactly what it should be? No, sometimes it's going to be more, sometimes it's less. You kind of then have to apply your own factors into there, where you live, what the project's going to be. But that's going to be a big portion of it. So, so this is your day rate. Per day, you are making $178 a day with these expenses. That would cover you in terms of freelance. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is when applying for freelance, typically studios are ready to pay more than they are going to pay their own employees, because they know that they don't have benefits to pay. They don't have all these extra taxes to pay to the employee. It's just just give it to them and then that's it. So you're going to be charging more, but keep in mind that you don't have a consistent job, so you have to charge more to make it between jobs. So that's an important thing to consider, and don't feel bad about it. You need to make money, you need to survive. If you are underbidding yourself, that means you're hurting not just yourself, but the entire industry. One doubt I get when applying to jobs internationally is that when they ask for what you're expecting to gain, I never know if I should put the hour value or annual. It's hard to say. Again, I've never really applied to a job, so you could give both if you know them. When are you ready to freelance? You're ready to freelance at the same time that you're ready to apply to other studios. Is basically whenever you feel like taking that step, and even then, oftentimes you're ready before you feel ready. It's just you have to take the plunge at some point. There's no hard line. There's no like, I'm gonna be ready when X and X happen. No, it's just let's dive in and hope it works. Now, usually the way I would kind of determine whether I'm ready for a certain position. So for example, if I want to apply to Pixar, what I would do is I would build a reel, kind of build it up there, and then show it to some friends and go, okay, do you guys think this is ready for Pixar? Do you think, and I would show it to people who know what they're talking about, like really know animation, and go, do you think this could get me a job at Pixar? And they go, no, you need to work on this a little bit more. Okay, then I'll try. Having like communication and network help a lot there. So let's see. I usually write per hour per year, but mostly per hour. Yeah, so it depends on the position. The thing with me is finding freelance. So many people say to do it, but can never find it. Yeah, freelance is hard to find because a lot of times there's no big ads about it. With freelance, a lot of it is word of mouth, which is where that network helps a lot. Most of the freelance jobs I hear about are of like just friends who are going, hey, we need some work here. Hey, do you know someone who could work for this? So just kind of keeping an ear out for things, and oftentimes they are smaller jobs. So for example, I have a friend who their freelance job was animating the mouse on Chuck E. Cheese, a Chuck E. Cheese commercial. It was really good animation. They did a great job on it, but it's just Chuck E. Cheese. It's not a film or something like that, and that's fine. Let's see. Can you freelance and hold another job? You can. It would definitely be trickier, but that's the same as you're basically holding two jobs at that point. And you would have to put a priority on one over another, which again, not a bad thing, but just something to be aware of. Let's see. Are the friend I can post my reel to once? Are the friend I can post my reel to once I get it made? If you mean if you can post your reel here? Oh, well, if you want, you can always show it on the stream and we can go over it. Like, and this goes to everyone here. These streams are about helping people out. So if ever you have questions about a reel or something like that, I can't promise that I'll be able to look at it right away, depending on if we're doing a demo or something, but I'm always happy to take a look at it on the streams. Yeah, well, I'll do any animation reel, like animation review or demo reel reviews. I'm happy to take a look at that. Now, to be fair, I am not a recruiter, so I can only speak in terms of what I think recruiters kind of like to see and what I see kind of trending in the industry. I do not have recruiting experience, so I've never like done that job. So I will say, like, take that those comments with a grain of salt, but in the end, it's really good animation, and then compositing the the reel in a way that's interesting and won't make the recruiter kind of turn it off right away. That's half the trick, is trying to catch their attention, keep their attention. So yeah. Let's see. Trying to think if there's anything we can go over here. This short stream ended up being 3 hours. I was thinking like an hour if I'm lucky. I was so afraid I would actually fall asleep on stream. I did want to see one more thing here. It was this hit right here. I just want to take one last look here. Such a good hit. Right there. So nice. And I like how the hands don't freeze. You can see them pulling slightly. So it just kind of pushes off. And you can see here, we were talking about this before, how you get like contacts here. Look at his fingers right there. They cut through the laptop, and you can see it when I pull back right there. You can see that the fingers are actually lifting out of the laptop. Is that a mistake? No, it's not a mistake. It just creates the feeling of squishiness in the fingers. When you play it at full speed, like when we scrub through it, yes, we'll see it. But when we play it at full speed here, you don't feel it. Or sorry, you don't see it, but you feel that squishiness. You feel that the fingers have pushed in and then pushed back out ever so slightly. That is a very important and creates that illusion of contact, that better illusion. If you are just trying to contact things perfectly and not cut through the surface, it'll work, but it'll always feel like the characters are never truly touching the world around them.